For years, the truth stayed hidden. The victims forgotten, the cases left cold, until science revealed what time could not. This is Decades in the Dark, where cold cases are brought back to light. October 2006, a back road in East Texas. A fire flickers in the dark, and when it dies down, it leaves behind a mystery no one could solve. A young woman, burned beyond recognition, naked, except for a single sock. No ID, no missing persons match, just one clue, a faint scent of lavender. She would be known only as Lavender Doe. If you're drawn to mysteries solved through DNA and determination, give this video a like. It helps others discover these stories too. It was a quiet evening outside of Kilgore, Texas, October 29th, 2006. A man out hunting noticed something burning near a trail. He walked closer, thinking it was a brush fire, but what he found was horrifying. It was a body. A young woman, partially consumed by flames. She had been set on fire, deliberately, and whoever did it wanted her to disappear. There was no ID, no wallet, nothing to go on. The only thing left? A single sock still clinging to one foot, and the smell of what investigators believed was lavender body wash. The community was shaken. Theories spread. Was she a local girl? A runaway? Was she murdered by someone she knew? Or a stranger just passing through? The name Lavender Doe came from online sleuths, desperate to give her something, anything, to replace the void where her identity should have been. Over the next 12 years, her case went cold. Facial reconstructions were released. Investigators ran her DNA through national databases. They compared her to missing persons from all over the country. But nothing matched. She wasn't in the system. No one had reported her missing. It was like she had vanished from the world, long before her body was ever found. As the years passed, most would have given up. But one group didn't. In 2017, a nonprofit called the Dana Doe Project took on Lavender Doe's case. The Dana Doe Project specializes in using forensic genetic genealogy to identify unknown homicide victims and missing persons. Unlike traditional forensic methods that rely on criminal DNA databases, this group taps into public genealogy websites. By analyzing a person's DNA and comparing it to distant relatives who've taken consumer tests, they can build family trees backward, often identifying victims that law enforcement had no way of recognizing. They had a new approach, one that was changing cold case investigations forever. Instead of looking for direct matches in criminal databases, they built a genetic family tree using her raw DNA. They uploaded it to a public site called GED Match, where people who had taken consumer DNA tests, like Ancestry or 23andMe, had opted in for law enforcement access. It was like reverse engineering a family history. One second cousin here, a third cousin there. And slowly, piece by piece, they built her story. In 2019, 13 years after her body was found, Lavender Doe finally had a name. Her name was Dana Lynn Dodd. She was just 21 years old when she was killed. Originally from Florida, Dana had drifted away from her family as a teenager. She was part of a door-to-door magazine sales crew, a common but often dangerous industry for young people in vulnerable situations. These crews would travel from town to town, living in motels, isolated from their families, and often from the law. She had traveled through multiple states, worked long hours, lived a life on the margins. There are reports that she had made friends within the crew, but like her, they were often transient, untraceable, and disconnected from family back home. If anyone noticed she was missing, no one contacted authorities. Maybe they thought she left voluntarily. Maybe they were afraid. Dana hadn't been reported missing. Her father had passed away. Her mother didn't have contact with her. She was forgotten by the system. Later that same year, police got an unexpected tip. A man named Joseph Wayne Burnette, already in prison for an unrelated charge, confessed to killing Dana. He told authorities he had spotted her walking alone in a rural area. She was likely canvassing or trying to make magazine sales. Burnette struck up a conversation, offered her a ride, and she accepted. What happened next was calculated. He drove her to a remote oil lease road outside Kilgore, a place he knew would be hidden and quiet, isolated. Once they were out of sight, Burnette attacked her. According to his confession, he tried to sexually assault Dana, but she fought back. He overpowered her, forcing her to the ground. When she screamed, he began choking her. He tightened his grip until she stopped moving. She died gasping for air, alone in the dirt and brush. Then he made a calculated choice. He stripped Dana's body, removing her clothing not just out of cruelty, but to destroy evidence. Without clothing, there would be fewer traces left behind. No fibers, no fingerprints, no blood patterns to analyze. Burnette knew what he was doing. He was trying to erase her. He loaded her body into his vehicle and drove deeper into the woods. Once there, he doused her in gasoline and set her on fire. He left her in the dirt, burning, convinced that no one would ever know who she was or what he had done. He showed investigators the location. He knew details only the killer could know, and DNA from the scene confirmed his story. Burnette was charged with capital murder. In 2021, he accepted a plea deal to avoid the death penalty and was sentenced to 50 years in prison. Under Texas law, he won't be eligible for parole until he has served at least 25 years. As of 2025, Joseph Wayne Burnette is still alive and incarcerated at the Mark W. Michael Unit, a state prison in Tennessee Colony, Texas. His earliest possible release date is 2043, when he'll be in his 70s. Some called the sentence too lenient, given the brutality of the crime. But prosecutors weighed the risk of a trial, the burden on Dana's surviving family, and the closure the plea deal could finally bring. With the confession, the location, and the DNA match, the case was considered officially solved. There's something haunting about the Lavender Doe case. It's not just the brutality of what happened. It's that for over a decade, no one knew who she was. Her death didn't spark headlines. There were no vigils, no urgent searches, because no one was looking for her. And yet, there were people who cared, strangers who worked for years to piece her identity back together. Scientists, genealogists, volunteers, people who had never met Dana, but refused to let her be forgotten. Thanks to them, Dana Lynn Dodd got her name back. Her story was finally told, and her killer was finally brought to justice. She was known only as Lavender Doe for 13 years, but now we remember her by name. Dana Lynn Dodd. In life, she slipped through the cracks. In death, technology and compassion brought her back into the light. This is Decades in the Dark, where science brings the past to light. Subscribe for more stories where justice never expires.